Okay guys, today we are starting chapter 4. So we have our first lesson, and it is on powers and exponents. So if you can go ahead, and we have actually 3 vocab words or phrases. So go ahead and grab your vocab, the one that you just got on your way in today. And if you haven't already put it in your binder, put it in your binder. And just right behind your notes divider there, your green divider. So you should see your green on the left, your green divider on the left, and notes on the right. Okay, so here we go. The first word is exponent. Everyone? Okay, so your book says an exponent. Actually, it gives an example more than anything. It says in 2 to the third power, or 2 cubed, the exponent is 3. The exponent tells how many times the base, which is the 2, is used as a factor. All right? So if you want to write this in your little example box on the side, 4 squared, or the 2, that is your exponent. And what it means by 2 used as a factor is, of course, on this one here, means that there are 3 of these multiplied together. Okay, that's what that means by factor. Okay, our next word is the word power, everyone. Okay, so a power is a number that is expressed using an exponent. All right, so for example, you could just say this is 4 to the second power. All right, so the whole value of that, 4 to the second power. Okay, and then our third and last word for today is the word base. Everyone? Okay, and it just kind of told you what the base was up above, or gave an example. So here's what the book says a base is. And 2 to the third power, 2 cubed, the base is 2. The base is used as a factor as many times as given by the exponent. So kind of just the opposite way of saying what we were talking about up here. So, for example, if you have 4 squared again, the base is the 4. Okay, with that said, go ahead, grab your books, get a piece of paper out, and go ahead, make sure your first and last name's up at the top, the date, the period, assignment number, book page, all of that. And then go ahead and we'll go ahead and do some examples together. I need you guys to turn to page 138, page 138. Okay, so 138. Let's go ahead and take a look at number 14. Now, I'm going to just start off with an easy one, and as a matter of fact, where it says I do it, doesn't mean that you don't have to write it down right now if you don't want. I just kind of want you to watch. So number 14 looks like this. So it has 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Okay. Now, I do have a little thing here that says reminder, the directions, because this is really big every year. So you need to make sure that every time you change from a section to section that you actually read what they want from you. So if you take a look at number 14 right above, it says write each expression using exponents. So it does not want you to simplify this. They want you to write this in what's called exponential form. All right. So here's all you need to do. You realize that this is repeated multiplication. Each one of these are factors, and it's the same factor. So what we do is this 3 here, that's repeated, okay? That becomes our base, and then however many there are multiplied together, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is your exponent of a 5. So 3 to the 5th power, okay? So that's just a very basic one, probably one that you guys already knew how to do. But let's go ahead and take it up a half a notch here, and let's stay on the same page, but let's take a look at problem number 20. Problem 20. Okay, problem number 20 is 5 times P times P times P times Q times Q times Q. Okay, so on this particular problem, all right, here's what you're going to do. We'll write it in steps here. Step 1 is find your first factor. Okay, your first factor in this case is a 5. You're going to go ahead and I'm going to write that down as a base. Now, step 2 is we're going to go ahead and put an exponent here next to that, and depending on how many factors there are. Well, in this case, there's only one factor, so I just wanted to share this with you. I could put a 1 here, but it's not necessarily what you'll see, all right, because any number by itself has a factor of 1, so we're just going to leave it alone as a factor. Okay, now here's what the next part is. Step 3 is we're going to repeat step 1 and step 2. Again, every single time with different factors. So in this case, right, we have a P that we're going to go ahead and put it as a base. And then step 2, right, exponents. So how many of these factors are there? 1, 2, 3 multiplied together. So I put that as an exponent. You could draw an arrow over here like this. That's an exponent of a 3, or P cubed. Okay? And then, of course, repeat again. So here we go. I have a Q, so that's our next base. And there are 1, 2, 3 of those. So Q cubed, or Q to the 3rd power. Okay, I guess we can talk about this as like step star, all right, just our little reminder symbol. If you take a look in between each one of these different factors, there are no multiplication dots or no multiplication signs, because once you get to this level, okay, each one of these right next to each other, especially with a coefficient, because that's what a number is in front of a variable, okay, they're right next to each other. All right, that is implying that it's multiplication. Okay, and so number 20, we are done. So our answer is 5p cubed q cubed. Kind of a tongue twister there. All right. Now, I usually would give you another one to do, but here's what I want to do. I want to do another one with you guys. So let's go ahead and do another one of our homework problems. All right, let's go ahead and go a few down. It's number 24. Okay, number 24 is 2x plus 3y. And then there's also, and those are in parentheses, the next set of parentheses would be 2x plus 3y. Now, here's why I wanted to do this with you. See how step 1 says look for a factor, right? And we're going to record it down as an answer. Well, here's the thing. When you see parentheses, okay, when you see parentheses, that is grouping all of this to be able to be one value. That's why when you actually can solve it and you follow order of operations, parentheses are first, because it's like you're simplifying everything to try to create one value for what's in the parentheses. Okay, well in this case, this is one whole value here. This, I know this sounds kind of weird, but you can consider that whole thing with the parentheses as a factor. So I'm going to go ahead, it's like this, 5 was a factor, right? Well, this whole thing, 2x plus 3y in parentheses, that's a factor. So I'm going to go ahead and record it down. Oops. 2x plus 3y in parentheses. Keep those parentheses on there, don't forget. If you leave the parentheses off, when you do step 2, it's going to have a whole different meaning. Okay, so keep those parentheses on. And then, of course, step 2, right, is count how many of those there are. Well, look at this. There's 1, there's 2 multiplied together, right, because that parentheses next parentheses, these are factors. So there's 2 of them, 1, 2. So guess what? We're putting an exponent of a 2 here, right outside the parentheses. Okay, so that means this 2 goes with, if right in front of it is parentheses, so it means all of this is squared, which of course means this. So as I take a look here, I look for another factor. Well, actually, that's it. We're done. And that is our answer for number 24.
Abigail Espania, please come to the Rayburn office. Abigail Espania, please come to the Rayburn office.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to have you guys try one out on your paper. I want you, same kind of problem, try out problem 22. Problem 22. All right, I will give you guys about 30 seconds. Shouldn't take very long. 30 seconds. Go. Okay, go ahead and turn to your neighbor, share, 30 seconds, go. Okay, so here we go. Problem number 22. Check and see if this is your answer here. Okay, problem 22 had 8, and then in parentheses c plus 4, and then in parentheses c plus 4. All right. So what you should have noticed is this is actually a little bit of combination of our last couple of problems. So what we have is our very first, it's all multiplication, right? 8 is right next to the parentheses, and this set of parentheses is right next to this. So it's all multiplication. So what we have here is we have 8 as a factor because it's being multiplied. So I'm going to go ahead and place that over here. That's one of our factors. Then step 2, right? I count how many there are. Well, there's only 1, and again, I'm going to leave just 8 alone, not put an exponent of a 1. Okay, and then again, repeat, right? Well, we were just talking about a whole set of parentheses. Well, c plus 4 is is equivalent to just one value. So what we have is c plus 4, I'm going to go ahead and write down as a factor. And then the exponent, right, I see how many there are. There's 2 of them. So c plus 4 squared. And that is our answer.
Whitney Emerson, report to the Rayburn main office. Whitney Emerson, report to the Rayburn main office.
Okay, so what I want you to do is go ahead and take a look at number 21. And that is a little different. I just want you to look at it. That's a little different than the rest of these in a way that you can almost call it a step star at the very beginning. All right, it's just a little extra note, and that is with any of these, there was nothing we can simplify other than just putting exponents on, right, and put it in exponential form. However, if there is something you can simplify, number 21 there is, go ahead and simplify it before you even start step 1. All right, so simplify it or simplify that part of the problem, all right, before you go ahead and put it in exponential form. All right, let's go ahead and then let's move on to, there's only one other real type of problem here. All right, and let's do one of these together. So if you take a look, same page, problem number 30. Number 30 says, it starts off with xy cubed. Okay, so here's the thing. We've done problems like this throughout the year. All right, this is no different. We have some exponents in on this. All right, that's the only thing that's different. So the steps you're going to find are exactly the same. So here's what we're going to do. Okay, step one, I guess I can put step one down here, is, remember what I said? You put parentheses where the variables are. So instead of xy cubed, it's parentheses, parentheses cubed. Okay, now step two is we're going to go ahead and plug in our numbers. Now remember, step 1 and 2 can be done at the same time, but a lot of times people need to do step 1 before step 2 until they get good at it. So here we go. Step 2, I'm going to go ahead and plug in the correct numbers. So I take a look at the directions. Probably should have read those at the start, but I already had a good idea what it was. It says evaluate each expression, and then it defines the variables. It says if x is -2, y is equal to 3, and z is 2.5 or 2.5. So x is -2. I'm going to go ahead and plug in -2 for x. Y is +3. I'm going to go ahead and plug in 3 for y. Now, step 3 is this. And it's the same step 3 that it's always been all year. Follow the correct order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, PEMDAS. So here we go. Do what's in parentheses first. Well, there's nothing to simplify in the parentheses. They're both integers inside the parentheses. Now we're dealing with exponents. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rewrite this. All right, give myself some room here. So I'm going to have -2, and then I usually would like to work downwards, but 3 to the 3rd power, right? Well, usually I would like you to write it out if they were bigger numbers where you don't leave anything out. However, this one I think we can do it with mental math. So it's 3 of them together, right? So the first 2, 3 times 3 is 9, and then times another factor of a 3. So 9 times 3, it gives us 27. And then I'm going to go ahead and simplify this. So in the end, we end up with -2, okay, times 27. 27 times 2 is 54. And then one's a positive, one's a negative. So our answer is -54. Okay, I'm going to have you guys try one. All right, so here we go. Give you guys, probably shouldn't take you longer than 30 seconds. I'll give you guys problem number 30. Actually, you know what? I'll give you 1 minute for this. Number 38, I just want to share with you guys. Be very careful. Remember, you may have embedded parentheses, meaning you're inserting parentheses inside of the other parentheses. Remember, it's okay to change the outside parentheses to brackets. All right, we've talked about that before. All right, so number 38, I'll give you a minute. Go. Okay, I'll go ahead and give you guys about 30 seconds here. Go ahead, turn to your neighbor and share. Go. Okay, here we go. Number 38, right? You start with 5 times, and then in parentheses was x cubed plus 6. Okay, so here's what you should do. The very first step, right, is we rewrite everything. Okay, however, we're going to go ahead and put parentheses where the variable is. So instead of x, I'm going to put parentheses cubed plus 6. Now if I want to, remember I said I could change these outside parentheses to brackets, and that would be just fine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and insert my my integer. Okay, for the x, and defining the x, it says it's -2. Okay, so here we go. What we do is we follow order of operations. So I do what's in parentheses. So meaning I forget about this 5 for right now. I'm going to solve this whole thing. Now, just talking about this whole thing inside the parentheses, I want to make sure I do PEMDAS in here as well. So the very first thing is do what's in parentheses. So in here, there's nothing. It's just an integer. Next are exponents. What I want to deal with is this cube. Now, be careful. Okay? Cubed, what's cubed? The parentheses, or otherwise known as what's inside the parentheses. Inside the parentheses is -2. So this is what we're looking at. -2 times -2 times -2. Okay? I'm just dealing with the exponent part of this. So -2 times -2 is positive 4. Rewrite it. 4 times a -2 is a -8. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite my brackets here. And again, I'm still solving these. And we have a -8 plus 6. Okay, a lot of you at this point can solve it in your head. If you can't, you can go ahead and still use the t-chart. And you can see that once we subtract the difference there, it ends up as a -2. Now, you can keep it as a bracket. You can change it to parentheses if you'd like. Okay, but what I'm going to do is now that I have simplified everything in the parentheses, or in this case, the brackets, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite my problem. I'm going to bring the 5 down. If you wanted to bring the 5 down here just to not to forget about it, that was okay. And now what we've got is we have 5 times -2, and of course 5 times 2 is 10. They're different signs. And our answer, everyone, is -10. Notice how here I said it was mental math. It was just to the exponent of 3, but also it was positive 3. Okay? Don't try to be a hero, all right? It's very easy to mess all this up without showing your work, with all the negatives and it being cubed. So make sure, if you need to, show your work, all right? Make sure you rewrite it. This is a lot of work to just try to memorize in your head, so show all of your work. All right. Now, I do have one reminder before I let you guys get started, and that is take a look at numbers 40 through 50 on your homework. Okay, numbers 40 through 50, if you take a look, the directions say evaluate each expression. Okay? So what that means is you're not writing in expanded form, you're not doing any of that. What you're doing is you are evaluating them. You are actually simplifying them. All right, so I want to make sure that's clear. So simplify all of those. Okay, so with that said, that is our lesson on powers and exponents.